This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Friday, March 24th, 2006, and this is episode 78 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hodgeberg from MGMstudios.org. On today's show,
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, I'm doing the Swedish Chef doing the show today. All right, let's do that over again.
No, keep it. Let's just keep going.
Hi, folks.
Well, on today's show,
I'm Matt Hochberg.
And you're not.
On today's show, we have the man who sympathized with the junk food characters on the old Food Rock show, Len Testa of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
Veggie, fruit, indeed, Matt Hochberg.
And nothing says the Walt Disney World Today podcast like Mike Scope of MousePlanet.com. Welcome, Mike.
Yes, it's a glorious 3-hour finale.
That's pretty good.
You've got a minute and a half. And... And we also have the man who feeds our daily need for illuminations at 9 p.m., Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome, Mike.
I got nothing to top that, that's for sure.
You know, I was joking around with Bob Selinger. We were watching Lion King last week, and they say, "Okay, everyone, it's time for our rousing finale. Everyone, stand up and clap." But the finale goes on for like 13 minutes. So I turn to him and I go, "It's a glorious 3-hour finale." Only Bob would get that, and you guys. We have this theory, too, that Festival of the Lion King is where people who finish out of the top 10 for American Idol and out of the top 10 for Olympic gymnastics go to hone their craft. I could be wrong. Go ahead.
Could be. Well, on today's show, we're finishing up the Magic Kingdom lands. In previous shows, we've talked about Tomorrowland, Adventureland, Fantasyland, and today we're going to be doing Main Street USA, Liberty Square, and Mickey's Toontown Fair. So let us start with Main Street USA, and the first attraction, which actually you could technically count in 2 other lands, is of course the Walt Disney World Railroad. I think most people though associate the Main Street station as the hub, if you will, for the attraction. What's everyone's thoughts on the railroad?
Well, let me tell you, I have had 2 very close friends, cast members, who have been working on that railroad, and they just love it. They the cast members who work on the Walt Disney World Railroad just have a love for trains, and you can see it. I happen to really enjoy riding around on that railroad. One thing I'd like to point out is that they've been promising the cast members who work on that railroad that they were going to tear down and rebuild the Toontown Railroad Station. And next time that anyone rides it, see for yourself that they really did not make that station long enough for the train. It's about 5 to 6 feet too short for that train. I really enjoy riding.
What happens? You can't get on?
So what happens, Len, is that the engine has to pull up a little bit further than they really would prefer it to, and that can be a problem sometimes if they want to put the water in there. Because I think they fill it up with water at that particular station. But for about the last 5 years, I think there's been some talk about them tearing down that station and building a real train station there, much similar to what they have at the other 2 places, as far as being more robust, if you will, to make it look like a real train station.
And not as cheesy as it is now?
It's cheesy, yeah.
The railroad, of course, we should mention, is a 20-minute journey. And it stops at Mickey's Toontown Fair, like Mike Scopa mentioned, and also stops at Frontierland.
The thing that I find funny about the railroad is when you're between Toontown and Main Street, where the conductor, the pre-recorded voice goes, they're talking about listening for Pocahontas as she sings the Colors in the Wind.
Yep.
But they go, the conductor goes, and something like, if you listen closely, you can hear Pocahontas' voice singing in the wind, and then it comes out this blaring music like, "And you dance with all the colors of the wind," or whatever it is. It's really loud. It's like,
he's singing again.
You listen really hard. You can da 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 da. It's the funniest thing. Yeah.
One of the disappointments was it 2004, I believe, when we had Hurricane Charlie and the other hurricanes. They did some damage to that area to the right of the train as you're coming into Toontown, you can see the back of some of the attractions, and hopefully sooner or later they'll do something with that area, let it build up again.
Well, some of the other action that you could do at Main Street USA is the Main Street vehicles, such as the cars and the fire engines that you can ride over there.
Trolley.
Yep.
I haven't done one of these in a couple years, and I haven't done the horse in quite some time. Has anyone been on that?
No.
Not in years. Yeah.
I haven't even seen the horse in a while.
Yeah, they usually stop running these things like they run them in the morning, and then they run them to like early afternoon. But I think prior to the afternoon parade time, they usually shut them down, and I don't understand why. I mean, I understand why it's not running during the parade, obviously, because they're too slow to get out of the way. But afterwards,
Heat?
the heat.
Could have something to do with
Maybe
with the,
okay, yeah, maybe.
with the horse. It could have something to do with the horse. I hardly ever, I don't see the horse in the afternoon after 2 o'clock. So maybe it is something to do with making sure the animals aren't overheated. As far as the other vehicles, Len, I also agree. I don't see them in the way I used to. I can remember years ago riding the quote horseless carriage down Main Street. It was around dusk, and I remember riding it, but not
Yeah, but not now,
lately.
right?
No.
Yeah, interesting.
Well, let's move on to Liberty Square. And the first attraction over there is the Hall of Presidents, everyone's favorite attraction. Is this just does anyone... I go there whenever there's a new president just to go see the new president.
They're once every 4 to 8 years.
Right. I mean, other than air conditioning, I mean, does anyone, honestly enjoy it? Or is it just...
I go there to record podcast openings. That's about it.
I like it. Yeah, it's not bad. I go there periodically. I think some of the speaking is some of the dialogue is pretty good. I particularly like Lincoln's passage where he's talking about if we don't think that all men are created equal, we should all men are created evil. Whether all men are created equal, we should find the Declaration of Independence and tear it out from the statute book. I thought that was pretty inspiring. One of our researchers actually did her senior thesis on how presidents and American society are depicted both in the Hall of Presidents and the American Adventure. She came up with this really interesting observation that if you look at things like struggles over time, things like racial equality, things like the labor movement in the United States, that in both these attractions they're presented as like settled facts or things that have happened in the past, not ongoing things.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that was a great observation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The next attraction is probably one of the more favorite attractions in all of Walt Disney World. That's the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. I like it when grim grinning ghosts come out to socialize. I mean, really. It's a great attraction. Have you guys seen the Pet Cemetery in the back? Or coming out of the exit to the left?
It's an unheralded treasure, Len. Nobody mentions it.
Things really?
Yeah, that's definitely one that I've always wanted to mention because it's something that you don't notice unless somebody points it out to you, and it's just too bad that it's set back so far because I'm sure that if it was closer and you could walk close and see, the tombstones and everything, I think it would be pretty interesting. One of the things I learned about the Haunted Mansion over the last several months was that when the original design was put forth, the narrator that you hear is supposed to be the raven that you see, and you only hear that voice when you see the raven. So the next time you happen to go through that attraction, keep that in mind, that when you hear, is it Thurl Ravenscroft's voice? When you hear his voice, you should be seeing the raven, or at least the raven's red eyes.
Do people get that, though, when they...
I never got it.
I heard one interesting thing, going right along with what you're saying, Mike, that you can follow the entire storyline of the ride. It starts out, in the stretching room, when if you look up, you see the bride who hangs herself, and that begins the story at that point. And as you progress through it, it's supposed to follow, I'm not sure if it's supposed to, but at least it's I've heard that it follows the storyline of the entire attraction,
Yeah.
of the discovering the body and,
There was this debate over whether there's actually a storyline in the attraction or not. And I think Jason Surreal's book, when the Haunted Mansion movie came out with Eddie Murphy.
Yep.
And in his book, he said there is no storyline. It's just supposed to be a loose collection of effects.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's the other side of it.
And so I asked Bob this question, and he said that apparently in Disneyland there either is or used to be a mural that explained what the story was. Now I don't know if we're splitting hairs and saying, well, there's a storyline in Disneyland, but there's not one in Disney World. I don't know. It seems to me you could easily construct a story out of what you see in Disney World.
Just sounds like. Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, about a year ago, I got to ride the Haunted Mansion with someone who used to work at Disneyland, and she was telling me certain things about the attraction. And one of the things that I remember her telling me was that when you go through the attic and you see the bride, and then all of a sudden you just before your vehicle turns, apparently you're supposed to realize that you're dead, or you're actually going through a window and you're falling out the window of the attic, and that's why you turned around and you're falling down on your back, and that's why you land in the graveyard, because at that point you're supposed to be dead. Now, I don't know if that means that. Yeah. Now, I'm not sure if that means that you're supposed to be. You're actually the bride, or what you are supposed to be.
This is worse than that Snow White thing.
I think we need to have the guy who runs DoomBuggies.com on this podcast one day, and he can settle all these questions for us.
Member needs to open a window where she works.
Yeah, check it out next time.
The other attraction in Liberty Square is the Liberty Square Riverboat, but that's been closed for seems like eons. I think it's supposed to reopen.
Newell, do you have the audio from the Mark Twain Riverboat in Disneyland?
I might.
Mark Twain.
Mark. Ocean I like the effect of they used to do the burning cabin, but they don't anymore. But it was nice. And then of course you always see the kids in the Fort Sam Clemens or Fort Langhorne shooting the air rifles at you, which is a really good feeling to know that young kids aren't desensitized to violence or anything.
Speaking of which, have we mentioned the Tom Sawyer Island when we did the Frontierland podcast?
No, I don't think we did.
Well, for lack of covering everything, let's mention, even if it's not technically part of Liberty Square. I know that it's your daughter's favorite place.
She loves Tom Sawyer Island. She from running around the barrel bridges to the small playgrounds to she even likes the caves quite a bit. It was she really liked it. She liked the fort. She liked the air guns. Did you ever tell my story about falling down the stairs in the fort?
I don't think so.
So we were trying to do the Ultimate Magic Kingdom touring plan one day, and literally we're running around the park at breakneck speed, and I was commenting how OSHA would never let Disney World build the stairs so narrow for inside Fort Langhorne. And as I said, so narrow because you'll be tripping, I actually fell down the stairs and almost broke my foot. It was really funny.
Wow.
I had to be there, I guess. But anyway.
Oh, you don't want to do that.
Well, let's move on to Mickey's Toontown Fair and the probably the
Mickey's
headline.
Birthdayland?
Yeah, right. Wasn't it also called Mickey's Starland?
Mickey's Starland, exactly.
Starland,
Yeah.
That's right.
Mickey's Starland sounds a bit too futuristic. Like everyone should be running around in silver spacesuits and capes. I don't know.
Well, the headliner attraction here, if you want to call it that, is the Barnstormer at Goofy's Wiseacre Farm.
Yeah, it's a minute-long roller coaster.
You seem really high on that attraction, Len.
Actually, I like it. It's for a roller coaster for an introduction, it's not bad. It's a tight fit for an adult and a parent, I think. It's a bit on the small side, and it's a long wait sometimes for a 1-minute ride. It's not bad. And kids seem to like it. And again, for a first roller coaster, it's not bad. I think it probably was my daughter's first roller coaster experience.
It was or it wasn't?
I think it was.
Moving on, we've got Donald's Boat. This is the attraction. Is this the one where you squirt yourself and it's kind of like a play area?
That's about it. Yep.
It's a play area, but I think they actually provide the water. You don't have to, bring your own or anything. That.
Trivia question: what's the name of the boat?
Oh, go ahead.
Want to take a guess, Mike? Got a guess?
No clue.
Matt? Miss Daisy.
Oh.
I couldn't Google. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Now that you see it, now I found
So
it.
there's what can you do on the boat? You can run around. They've got like that soft blue foam padding on the ground. Occasionally there's water spritzing. You can ring a bell. What else? It's just a place to run around, really blow off some steam.
Yeah, as if there's not like you've got so much extra energy at Walt Disney World. You
There's a small playground to the left of it, right?
I believe so.
With like just little things to play on, blocks and whatnot.
Well, next attraction rather is the judges tent, the Toontown Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. Mickey's Judges Tent.
Yes.
My favorite misquote of this was listening to a parent who was telling her kids she needed to bring them to Mickey's Judgment Tent. So, I can imagine Mickey sitting on a throne going, "You're screwed." But it was just funny, like Mickey's Judgment Tent. Like he's sitting there, there's like smoke swirling around him. Like, "You made a bad girl." The kid didn't want to go. I was like, "No kidding." You don't say.
Mickey's got robes on and everything.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
are,
Big robes. Just with the scepter,
Aren't there like 2 or 3 character greet areas back there that people may not be aware of? That it's not just Mickey that you can go back and see. I believe there's a princess meet and greet area back there, and then maybe.
It's at the Hall of Fame.
Oh, is that at the Toontown Hall of
Yeah,
Fame?
but there are actually. It's a good point, though. There are actually multiple greeting areas in Mickey's judge's tent, but they have multiple Mickeys there to keep the line short. So I think they can fit 2 or 3 back there, but they're partitioned off, so you get to a certain point and you're cut off from the other 2 lines.
Mm-hmm.
So you never actually see that there are 2 or 3 Mickeys, like seeing 2 or 3 Santa Clauses. Santa Claus.
So what if you've got a family of twins and the father says, "I'll take Fred," okay, and the mom takes Frederica, and they both go in separate lines, and they both see Mickey, and they both come back. "Hey, did you see Mickey? Yeah, I saw Mickey." "No, you couldn't have seen Mickey because I saw Mickey."
I don't know. You can probably explain the same way you explain the department store Santa Claus.
What about Santa Claus?
That he can be everywhere at once. He's magic. What's
Yeah,
I'm not
I
saying
believe
anything
that.
news.
Well, the next attraction is we're going to combine the Mickey's and Minnie's country houses where you can walk
Hey, what
around.
about the Hall of Fame?
Oh,
you're
I
gonna
thought we
combine them.
covered it with Scopa mentioning
Yeah, we
the.
covered
Well, there are a couple of lines. Usually the princess line's the longest, right?
Of course.
Yes. These
You can
days
get-
it is.
It's funny because you're in Toontown, right? And I'm sure it's just a coincidence. I'm sure there's nothing, evil about it. But it just so happens that the best air conditioning you can find is in the Toontown Hall of Fame, and it also happens to be a huge merchandising opportunity for the Disney company.
Sure.
Again, just a coincidence. I know.
Sure.
I know. You walk in, it's got a pretty decent selection of stuff, but by far the best air conditioning in Toontown is there.
Are we okay to move on to Mickey's and Minnie's country houses now?
Yeah, okay, sure. I like Minnie's house better, but okay.
Well, sure. Give us your opinion. Why do you like Minnie's house better?
I think she's a better decorator, personally. And I think the stuff in her kitchen's a little bit funnier.
Yeah.
With and she does like the pottery with the vase thing, and of course my family has photos of me pretending I'm actually spinning the potter's wheel, acting all goofy, haha, with the potter. I don't know. It's not bad. There's rarely a wait for either of those 2 walkthroughs. It's the getting the autographs that takes the time, right?
Of course.
What else can you do in Toontown? You can do face painting. There's Pete's Garage. Pete's Garage is restrooms, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So those are, as you're walking in, they're on the left. There's also a place on the right you can get fresh fruit and cold drinks and
Yeah, it's the farmer's market, right?
face painting.
Another trivia question. Where can you eat to the washroom?
Is it under the mat?
That's Muppet Vision, isn't it?
No, it's in the. That is Muppet Vision, but the key to the washrooms for Toontown, it's in the. I think it's in the gas pump, the gasoline pump right out front.
Really?
Yep, take a look.
Interesting.
Like, haven't you ever been to Disney World, Len?
Yeah.
Filling in for Lou Mangello tonight.
Well, that's it for us today. This has been episode 78 of Walt Disney World Today. If you have a question or comment for us, perhaps, email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. For Mike Scopa, Mike Newell, and Len Testa, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.